Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the class of 11th English Medium. The subject is Statistics, Chapter 3, Measures of Central Tendency, brought to you by Vitan Sir. Previously, I have completed the median, quartile, decile, and percentile exercise. Now, we are going to start with the new topic, that is mode. Mode is the final average which you are going to study in this chapter. We have studied arithmetic mean, geometric mean, combined mean, weighted mean. Those were the observational averages. Then under the positional averages, we have studied mode, quartile, decile, and percentile. What we are going to study now is mode. That is the last average of this chapter. Now, let's understand what is mode. The value which gets repeated for maximum number of times, or the value which has the highest frequency in the given data, is called mode. So at a glance it seems very easy, and it is actually a very easy measure to calculate compared with mean or median. Reason is that from the given data, whichever value has been repeated for the maximum number of times. So at a raw data, when you look at it, you can actually get an idea that okay, this number has been repeated maximum number of times. That means this number comes for so many times compared to other numbers. Then that number is mode. If we are talking about the discrete frequency, then in the discrete frequency distribution, whichever observation has the highest value of the frequency, that would be the mode. So mode is quite easy. It is denoted by M0. Now mean is denoted by X bar, median is denoted by capital M, and mode is denoted by M0. Actually its past sign was Z, but Z is used somewhere else right now. So not to confuse between mode and that Z value, we will call mode as MO or M0. Now the advantages and disadvantages of mode. Starting with the advantages. The first advantage, that it is easy to calculate and understand. Of course, it is quite easy. It can be found by inspection. By just looking at the data, we can get an estimate. Okay, this will be the value of mode, whether it's continuous data, discrete data, or the raw data. It is not affected by too large or too small observations, because it doesn't matter. We take mode whichever value has been repeated for the maximum number of times. So if it is too large observation which has been repeated for maximum number of times, then there's the of course answer. The some small numbers or the some large numbers will not affect our result at all. It can be found using the graph. Now, apart from mean and median, which cannot be calculated using graph, mode is the observation, or it is a measure which can be calculated using the graphical methods. The disadvantages, of course, they have disadvantages. The first one, that it is not rigidly defined. That means mode has not been defined perfectly or rigidly. It has a flexibility, and when something is defined flexibly, it is not necessary that it can be found in each and every circumstances. There can be more than one mode, or it may not be possible to calculate mode at all. That means sometimes more than one observation has highest frequencies. Sometimes two or three observations have been repeated for the same number of times. So at that case, we don't get a single mode, we get multiple modes. And sometimes all the observations have been repeated for the same number of times, or the frequency of all the observations are equal. Then at that point, we cannot calculate mode. It is not based on all the observations, which is one of the major flaws of the positional averages. It is less stable than compared to mean. And the last one, it is not suitable for further algebraic calculations. That means mode or median are usually not used for further calculations because they are not that perfect of an average. The best average is arithmetic mean and geometric mean, and those are used for the further calculations. For mode, there are two types of frequency distributions. So whenever we are talking about mode, the frequency distribution can be distributed as two types, regular or unimodal. Uni means one. So the distribution which are regular or those which has only one mode, in that frequency increases initially but then starts decreasing after getting the maximum value. So frequency increases first and then decreases. So this is an example of a regular or a unimodal frequency distribution. The second is irregular or bimodal frequency distribution. In this, frequency increases and decreases as usual, but then it increases again and then again decreases. So we call this irregular or bimodal frequency distribution because as you can see there are two summits. In the first one there was only one summit which was the mode. Right now we have two summits, and we can see that they can be equals. That means there could be a possibility of having two modes. Bi means two. So there is a possibility that this irregular distribution may have two modes rather than one. So calculation for this kind of distribution becomes difficult. So in that case, we have to calculate some extra measures for calculating the value of mode in the irregular or bimodal frequency distributions. Let's start with the formulas here. For raw data or discrete frequency distribution data, calculating mode is actually very easy. We just have to find it with the inspection. If it's a raw data, then we have to check the value which has been repeated for maximum number of times. Or if it's a discrete data, then the observation with the highest frequency will be our mode. So the examples or the sums of this type I will explain in the next tutorial. Right now I'm just explaining the formulas here. But remember that mode is something which has been repeated for maximum number of times or with the highest frequency. If we are talking about continuous frequency distribution, then when data is converted into a continuous frequency distribution, that is in the classes, the exact value of mode cannot be found because we don't have observations, we have the classes, the ranges. And so similarly to median, the class containing mode is found out first from the maximum frequency. So the class with the maximum frequency will be considered the modal class. That means that class contains the mode, and the frequency of that modal class, that is the highest frequency, we will call it the modal frequency. So what we do, we use this modal class and the modal frequency and then calculate mode using the following formula. That would be MO is equal to L plus Fm minus F1 upon 2Fm minus F1 minus F2 into C. Now, those belonging to Gujarat board or even CBSE board, you have studied the calculation of mode in the 10th. At that time, you might be wondering because in the 10th, the symbols are a bit different. The symbols which you use are F0, F1 and F2. What I have used here are FM, F1 and F2. So F1 and FM does not mean what you used to believe in the 10th. So I will explain what these symbols are, and you have to remember these symbols from now on and forget about the symbols which you used in the 10th standard. Because if you keep on confusing these symbols with those used in 10th standard, you will not be able to solve the sums here. So the symbols mean L is the lower boundary point of the modal class. Just like in the median, L means the same thing. FM means the frequency of the modal class. Now, if I remember correctly, in the 10th, the frequency, the highest frequency class was denoted as F1. But in here, it is denoted as FM, that is F of the modal class, that is frequency of the modal class. So what is F1? That is the frequency of the class prior to modal class. That means the frequency above our highest frequency, which you used to denote with F0. So you used to denote it as F0 as the class above the maximum frequency, then F1 that is the highest frequency, and then F2 that is after the highest frequency. What we denote here is the highest frequency as FM, the frequency above highest frequency as F1, and the frequency below highest frequency is F2. So F2 of 10th and 11th are same, but FM and F1 has changed. So that you have to keep in mind while calculating these sums. And the C here means the class length of the model class. But you need to remember again two things here. First one, that the mode using this formula can be calculated only when class lengths of all the classes are equal, and second thing, when there is only one class with the maximum frequency. What I want to say here, that the class, if there are classes where more than the highest frequency belongs to more than one class, or if the class lengths are not equal, we cannot calculate this formula. Class lengths must be equal, and there should be only one class with the highest frequency in the whole distribution. If it is not so, we cannot calculate using this formula, and for that we have a different formula which was given by the Karl Pearson. This second formula for calculating mode in the continuous distribution is the empirical formula. Now, when do we use this empirical formula? For the cases where mode cannot be calculated using traditional methods, that is, MO is equal to L plus and all that formula, Karl Pearson observed a specific relationship between mean, median, and mode. That means in the cases where mode was not obtained regularly, Karl Pearson saw that mean, median, and mode show a specific relationship, and this relationship was used so that we can calculate an estimate. Remember, we are not able to calculate mode regularly, so the mode which we calculate using Karl Pearson's method is an estimate of the value of the mode. So this relation given by Karl Pearson is MO is equal to 3m minus 2 x bar. So if I put it into words, mode will be 3 times median minus 2 times mean. So this is the empirical formula, or the formula given by Karl Pearson, depicting the relationship between mean, median, and mode. So sometimes you are asked to write down the Karl Pearson's method of mode, or sometimes you are asked to write down the relationship between mean, median, and mode. So at that time you have to write down this formula, that is mode is equal to 3m minus 2 x bar. But for using this formula, we have certain conditions. That means we can't just use this formula everywhere. Karl Pearson found this formula only for the cases where mode cannot be calculated using the traditional methods. That means we have to follow certain rules while using this empirical formula, and if those rules are not satisfied, then we cannot calculate it using the empirical formula. The rules are that each observation appears only once in the row data. That means if I have a row data of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, then which observation appeared for the maximum number of time? So there is no answer to that, because 1 came once, 2 came once, 3 came once. Each and every observation appears only once in the row data. That means there is no mode. So in that case, I have to use the empirical formula. More than one observation has highest frequency. So if out of my raw data or discrete frequency or continuous frequency, if more than one class or observation has highest frequency, that means I cannot calculate mode using my regular methods. Then I will use the empirical formula. The continuous distribution has unequal classes. I have told you this earlier, that if the classes have unequal class length, we cannot calculate mode using regular methods. We have to use the empirical formula. Frequency are mixed. Now let's take an example here. For example, my distribution is 5, 10, 15, and then suddenly it becomes 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 60. That means my first half was a discrete frequency and my second half was a continuous frequency. This is called a mixed frequency distribution, and we can't calculate mode for this mixed frequency distribution using the regular methods. We have to use empirical formula for that. And the last one, that the highest frequency is either at the first or the last class. You remember that for the calculation of mode in the continuous frequency distribution, we need the frequency of the class above and the class below our model class. Now if my model class is the very first class, then I can't get the frequency of class above, and if it is the last class, I can't get frequency of class below. So in this case is I can't calculate mode using my regular method. I have to follow the empirical formula for that. So these are all the basic formulas for calculation of mode in traditional methods or given by the empirical formula of Karl-Pearson method. In my next tutorial, I will be discussing the sums, the practical sums based on all these formulas. The mode is a very easy method because in only the continuous distribution you need to work anything. For raw and discrete data, the direct inspection gives you the answer. So next time we will discuss this very easy and very interesting measure. So wait for that tutorial, and I will see you next time. Welcome students to With Answers Unacant Academy. That's better way to success for you. I am Vitan Vora and I teach accountancy, statistics and social science. You can contact me on my cell number 919426310184. Please give a sub to my channel and also check out my other video playlist which you can see on the screen. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.